The year was 1995. The O.J. Simpson verdict came in as not guilty. Coolio's Gangsta's Paradise was at the top of the charts. The movie Braveheart won the Academy Award as Best Picture, and the Dallas Cowboys were the Super Bowl champions. And the Western Mustang football team was coming off an undefeated national championship season, where the off-season workout t-shirts read, "1994 is history. 1995 starts today." The rebuild in defending the national championship started with the offensive line, where all the starters from last year graduated. Western still had plenty of weapons left, with QB Warren Goldie and his talented receiving core of Tom McConnell, Sandy McGregor, and Stu Beek, and Sean Reed at tailback. The defense returned 9 starters and would be led by the outstanding linebacker core of Patrice Denis and Derek Crete. The 1995 team would be captained by wide receiver Tom McConnell. Head coach Larry Haler was quoted, "We have many improvements to do in every facet of the game on offense. We hope to improve as we go. All good teams get better as the season goes on." The season opened with the Western Mustangs visiting the University of Waterloo. Starting slowly, the Mustangs rode running back Sean Reed and his 128 yards of all-purpose offense and relied on the foot of new kicker Garrick McBride, who accounted for 11 of the team's 23 points in a close 23-16 victory over the Warriors. In the home opener, the Mustangs flew Air Goldie as the Western quarterback paced the team to a 45-1 lead from 20 of 22 completions, totaling 262 passing yards in just over a half of football. Running back Sean Reed would rip off 2 long touchdown runs. Mark Castleman would block a punt for a touchdown, and defensive back Todd McKay was named Defensive Player of the Game in picking off 2 passes and running back a York Yeoman onside kick attempt 51 yards in a 53-20 blowout. Billed as the biggest test for Western to date, a battle of 2 undefeated teams. The Mustang defense, nicknamed Purple Pain, limited McMaster to just 95 total yards. As the front 4 accounted for 4 sacks and helped cause 3 interceptions, long TD passes to Stu Beek and Tom McConnell were followed by a pair of Sean Reed touchdowns, a Todd McKay pick 6, and a 35-yard punt return touchdown by Sandy McGregor added to the pain caused by the Mustangs. The Western Gazette said the Mustangs beat the McMaster Marauders like a wounded donkey, 49-6, improving their record to 3-0. In a clash for first place, the Mustangs would take on the undefeated Laurier Golden Hawks, whose defense gave the Mustang offense trouble moving the ball. Special teams would also prove costly, as Larry Haler said, "We may not have convinced ourselves the importance of special teams." The Mustangs would score 10 points in the fourth quarter, but would come up short in a 25-22 loss at home, ending their winning streak at 14 games. Looking for vengeance and putting an end to its 1-game losing skid, the Mustangs would take on the Windsor Lancers. On the strength of the rushing attack, Sean Reed ripped off 262 yards on 18 carries and scored 3 touchdowns. Big targets Tom McConnell and Stu Beek once again hauled in touchdown passes as the Mustangs trounced the hapless Lancers 38-9. The Western Gazette said the Mustangs romped through Windsor like a herd of angry stallions, but may have lost their prized thoroughbred in the process, as QB Warren Goldie went down with a knee injury late in the game. Up next were the Toronto Varsity Blues. Longtime backup quarterback Jordan Haler would get his first start in place of injured Warren Goldie. Playing in adverse weather conditions in what was described as an old-fashioned mud bowl, the offense would struggle in the rain-soaked conditions. 2 Sean Reed touchdowns accounted for the scoring as the Mustangs salvaged a 19-19 tie. Playing the low-league Guelph Griffins, the Mustangs would finally put a complete game together. Fullback Jason McKibben ran for 167 yards and scored 2 touchdowns. QB Warren Goldie threw for 2 touchdowns and rushed for another. Special teams player Craig Higgins would block a punt, and the Mustang defensive secondary picked off 3 balls as the Mustangs completely dismantled the Guelph Griffins in a 57-7 victory. In the final regular season game of the year, resurgent York gave the Mustangs a tough battle. With the passing game sputtering, the Mustangs relied on their rebuilt O-line and handed the ball off to tailback Sean Reed 27 times. He rushed for 197 yards and scored 2 touchdowns. Reed would join the exclusive 1,000-yard club for the 1995 regular season in a campaign which also witnessed him breaking the career Western Mustang rushing record and being named the OUA Most Valuable Player. Opening the playoffs against the Waterloo Warriors, the visiting Warriors almost pulled off a major upset. They held a 21-5 lead midway through the third quarter and were en route to winning their first playoff game against Western since 1969. Outplayed most of the game, it was the veteran Mustang players who pulled it out in the end. In the third quarter, Stu Beek recovered a fumble in the end zone and then grabbed a 2-point conversion as the Mustangs pulled closer, still down 21-13. With 56 seconds left and Western down by 6, the Mustangs started the final drive from their own 25-yard line. Warren Goldie connected with tight end Stu Beek on a perilous 50-yard completion. 19 seconds remained on the clock as the Mustangs snapped the ball from the 9-yard line, and Goldie hit wide receiver Sandy McGregor for the game-winning touchdown. Team captain Tom McConnell took the opportunity to gently remind the entire Waterloo bench that football games are played for 60 minutes and not 59, sparking a near riot on the field. "We won ugly," head coach Larry Haler said. "It's always nice to win pretty, but I've lost pretty. And I'll tell you, I'd rather win ugly." In a Yates Cup showdown against the Laurier Golden Hawks, the Mustangs were out to avenge their only loss of the season. Playing on the road in a torrential downpour and swirling winds, the weather forced both teams to rely on their defense as the Mustangs' OUA Defensive Player of the Year, Patrice Denis, and his teammates stood firm. On offense, the Mustangs ran the ball 51 times, led by Sean Reed's 125 yards on 34 carries. With just over 2 minutes to go in the game, Laurier was set up for a 32-yard field goal to take the lead. A bad snap sailed the ball over the holder, and Western took the ball over on down, securing a 10-9 victory and claiming a second consecutive Yates Cup championship on Laurier's field. In the Western change room, the team loudly chanted for everyone to hear, "We are the University of Western Ontario. We are the Mustangs. We are the Yates Cup Champions." Traveling east to play the Acadia Axemen in the Atlantic Bowl National Semifinal game, what would follow would be an old-fashioned shootout in the highest-scoring Atlantic Bowl game in its 34-year-old history. The Mustangs jumped out early and often and held a 41-17 lead early in the third quarter. A bizarre fumble recovery touchdown by Tom McConnell would become ESPN's Video College Play of the Year. Acadia was able to mount a comeback and pulled within a field goal of Western with just over 3 minutes remaining before Sean Reed put the game away with a 38-yard touchdown run with 38 seconds remaining in a contest that would end 55-45 in Western's favor and break the CIS Bowl game scoring record. Reed would account for 257 all-purpose yards and score a record 5 touchdowns on his way to being named the game's MVP. Earning a berth into the Vanier Cup game and a chance to defend their national championship title, defensive lineman David Burney said, "At the beginning of the year, we set a goal to be back on the hill when the snow was on the ground, and there were no leaves on the trees, and only 2 teams left in the country." Achieving that goal, the Mustangs squared off against the University of Calgary in the 31st Vanier Cup game. Unfortunately, the Mustangs came up short in a 54-24 loss to a talented and fast Dinosaur team. The 1995 Mustang team won Western its 24th Yates Cup title and took them to their 11th Vanier Cup appearance. The team was honored with 3 first-team All-Canadians that season, and 11 players off the squad would eventually go on to play in the CFL. Free safety Tim Hughes said, "The other side of the coin doesn't have the same luster. It's an unbelievable feeling to lose. It's horrible. But when we look back in the future, we'll know we did what we set out to do." the 1995 Western Mustang football team, Mustang Legends.
And when we get our teams together, we always focus upon one important need, and that is the quality and the ability to really focus and play hard every play for 60 minutes. Every play, special teams, offense, defense, whatever. And that's a difficult thing for all teams to do, particularly in games like today when the game was won, and it's easy to allow our mental focus to get from us. So it was a very, very worthwhile learning experience for us because we haven't had it yet as a team this year, but it's a quality that as we go through this season and beginning next week, when we go into McMaster to play them, and they are currently 2-0 with 23rd, 4th, and 5th year players. And we are going to have to take 60 minutes of our best octane shit in there to play.